things and no problems. No, that's not the picture that the Bible paints for us. I don't know which Bible they are reading. They certainly are not reading this Bible, let alone reading Ecclesiastes, where really the whatever flowery ideas we have of life are stripped away, and we see it for what it is, how harsh it is, how difficult it is. It does not get more real than this book right here. We have said this book is an analysis of life under the sun, and the author concludes it's fleeting, it's empty, it is chasing after the wind. And his analysis of life brings us this morning to the subject of our work. I want us to go through what he has to say from this analysis of work and see how we can actually enjoy our work. We cannot escape work. We spend most of our lives working. Perhaps second from sleeping, what we're doing is working. Even when you are in school, you are working. And that's why we call it school what? Work. And we call it home work, when you take what they've given you at school home. The biggest challenge is that, like the author, most of us hate work and hate our jobs and hate having to get up every morning and go to work. If we can enjoy our work, that would really be a game changer for us, wouldn't it be? And as we look at the struggles of our author here, we actually see how we can enjoy our work. In fact, we see some of the mistakes we make that result in us hating our work. And by being aware of these, by rethinking our view of work, we can begin perhaps to enjoy our work. He begins by saying he hated his work, his toil, meaning work or labor. But in verse 24, he's concluding by saying the best thing is to enjoy our work. After analyzing work, he says, I think the best thing, there's nothing better, verse 24, for a person than that he should eat and drink and find enjoyment in his work. So how do we get there? Well, let's walk through this text. 4 things in the passage. 2 of them are the wrong things we do that result in us hating our work. 2 of them are what we need to understand about work if we're ever going to enjoy work. So there's a couple of things you must not do if you're going to enjoy your work. The first is that you shouldn't make work your God. You shouldn't make work your identity. You shouldn't look to find your meaning and your hope and your fulfillment in your work. That will not end well. In fact, that will result in you hating your work. Look at verse 18 and verse 19. I hated all my toil in which I toil under the sun, seeing that I must leave it to the man who will come after me. And who knows whether he will be wise or a fool. Yet he will be master of all for which I toiled and used my wisdom under the sun. This also is vanity. Work should not be our be all and end all. Work should not be our God, because it's fleeting. It's vanity, it's empty. Solomon saw that work was a bad God when he realized that he cannot hold on to his work forever. That there will come a time when he will need to pass his labor and his toil on to somebody else. At a certain point, he would need to break up with his work. The way you break up with a girlfriend or a boyfriend. And someone else will pick it up where we have left off. He says, I must leave it to someone else who will come after me. The limited nature of our lives results in the fact that we can't hold on to our work forever. At a certain point, we have to let it go. We cannot. You cannot hold on to that job forever. You cannot hold on to that desk forever. You cannot hold on to that title forever. You can't hold on to that business forever. You can't hold on to your firm that you have sweated to establish forever. There will come a time when someone else will sit where you now sit. And they'll rub off your name from the front of that desk and put another name there. That is how work works. I wonder how many of us have considered this. I have. One of the joys of being at Hillview as a pastor is the building committee said, Pastor, we want to build you an office. And I was excited. Wow, I'll get my own office, And they built that block there, and they made a little room for me, and it's my office. And do you know why I haven't enjoyed it as much as I should have? It's because of this. I thought to myself, someone else will come and take over Hillview Baptist Church. I can't stay as pastor forever. So, what's the point? So now I don't even come to the office, I just stay home. No, I come sometimes. But it's a feeling of I wish I could find pleasure. I've got an office. So see me in my office. Come to my office. We'll meet in my office. And it's such a nice thing to say. But it's just this reality that I can't be pastor of Hillview Baptist forever. I'm basically warming the seat. And unfortunately, the one who will come after me will find this infrastructure in place. He wasn't there for the sweating and the crying and the building up and all this work that has gone in. He will just come in and perch where I sweated to build up. And he will take over. Solomon says, when I realized that all I labor for I can't hold on to, I hated my work. It can drive you there. Have you thought about it? That if you exert all your energy in your work and put up good systems, grow your company, grow your farm, grow your business, rise to the highest positions in your institution, you will eventually have to relinquish all of it. And for those of us who do such a good job with our work, look at verse 19. By leaving it to someone else, we run the risk of losing everything we built. Who knows, verse 19, whether he will be wise or a fool. I was in the US for 3 weeks, and our first host at our first stop told us about he's now retired, he's got two grown children, and he said, so I said, so what was your career? He said, I ran a business making parts for air conditioners. And after about 35 years, we sold the business. And within about 9 months, there was no business. It all crumbled. What happened? Well, we tried to go to the ones who had purchased the business from him to say, look, the clients, you have to treat them. These are the clients. Let me introduce you to the clients. Let me hand over and let me tell you the tips, the way I've managed to keep these clients and grow the clients and keep growing the clients so that the business survives. And they said, no, we've bought the business from you. We don't want to hear from you. We're in charge now. Leave it to us. And in 9 months, the business closed down. He said he felt for the employees he had left there because they all lost their jobs. That's the reality of work under the sun. It's that you build systems, you leave infrastructure, you build up a company, you build up the farm, and the next guy comes and ruins it all. You build houses and your children come and they just sell them all. and waste everything. And all your life work goes in water. Work is a bad God. It's a terrible God. It's a God that can't satisfy. Because at the end of it, we can't hold on to it. At a certain point, we must let it go. If you want to enjoy your work, don't make it your God. Don't make it your identity. Don't think to yourself, oh, well, let me pour everything here so that everybody will remember me by my work. There will be nothing there. You run that risk. That everything that you left will come crumbling down. There are too many variables that we do not control when it comes to our work. We do not control what will happen when someone else is master over our work. And if the disappointment of it crumbling down doesn't kill us, then the anxiety might. The fact that we don't know enough about how things will be in the future. The person who takes over from you might not have the same motivation and passion. They might not have the same vision. They might not have the same interest that you had in your work. There are countless things that would leave you disappointed if your God is your work. Secondly, do not make your work your reward. Don't make it your God. Don't find your identity in your work. You want to know who I am. You want to know how worthy I am. Check my work. No. Check my title. Check how far I went in my career. No. That will make you hate your work. But don't make your work your reward either. Verse 20 and 21. So I turned about and gave my heart up to despair over all the toil of my labors under the sun, because sometimes a person who has toiled with wisdom and knowledge and skill must leave everything to be enjoyed by someone who did not toil for it. This also is vanity and a great evil. Second way you can enjoy your work is by not making it your reward. The nature of life is that you struggle and toil for years to get to the top, and when you finally reach the top, you actually have limited time to enjoy being at the top. There are those of us who are driven in our work, not even because we enjoy it, but because we are looking forward to the reward that awaits us, whatever form that reward would be. I will push and push and push so that I can enjoy the reward and the fruit and the money from my labor and from my work. Solomon says, I despaired when I realized, actually, sometimes someone else picks up the reward of your work. In fact, this is almost a given in life, that others will end up enjoying the fruit of our labor. Do you know that? Those who labor gain the wealth they do because they are serious about their work. And they never stop focusing completely. They never stop to focus on enjoying it. Their mindset is on always, let me establish it further, let me build it further, let me make it more profitable. And you're doing that your whole life. You're building this thing and it's becoming more and more profitable. But that's your focus. Most successful people don't stop to say, okay, now I'm ending here, let me chew all the money. No, they are driven to keep building, to keep pushing, to keep making this thing more profitable, more prosperous. We all want to stop and enjoy our money, but we keep going because we are concerned that if I stop at any point, this thing might break down. Let me keep pushing. Let me keep going. If I stop to enjoy the money might run out. So let me focus on working further, pushing more, building this thing up so that I can enjoy. And that enjoyment never really comes. So those who create wealth for themselves never stop working to increase and guard the wealth they have created. And when they die, someone else comes and enjoys that reward. Elon Musk is a billionaire. Is he going to consume those billions? Is he going to spend all those billions? He won't. He'll die. He doesn't want to spend all the billions because he's so committed to building and doing greater, and he's got more vision and he wants to go further. But the next people who come may not be interested in all that. His children may just find the billions and share them out, and they will be the ones to enjoy the reward for his toil. And Bill Gates has even decided, you know what, I'll just leave my children a small percentage, the rest let it go to charity. Because he gets it. Even if I endeavored to spend everything, even there I'm limited. That's the limitation of work. That even if you become a billionaire 100 times over, you can't even enjoy it all. Even in enjoying the reward of our work, we are limited. After you've built 3 houses, what's the point of building more? You can only sleep and stay in one house at a time. When you have 3 bedrooms with a bed in each room, you can only sleep in one bed at a time. Even the capacity for us to enjoy the reward in this life is limited. The ones who really enjoy are the ones who come after it. They don't care. They just use it all up and enjoy it to the full. Your children will enjoy your wealth, not you. And who knows whether they'll be wise or be fools. It is fleeting that we spend our lives making as much money as we can, acquiring as much possessions as we can, and they'll only be enjoyed by others. Solomon says, when this clicked, my heart despaired. What's the point? To what end? How many of us are chasing money right now? Guess what? Most of the people who chase after money do not get to even enjoy it. It's foolishness to make work your God. It's foolishness to make it your reward. If you want to end up depressed, pursue wealth and money via work. Like Solomon, you will hate your work. And this is a lesson for those of us who are trying to choose careers based on how much money. This is how every Zambian thinks. I'm choosing that career because I know there's money there. And then you get in there and there's no money there. Become a civil engineer or become a doctor. Ask the civil engineers and doctors. Things are tough. Money comes from God. Did you know that? I remember my friend who was accepted at UNZA, was very excited years back. I said, I'm going to get into these high income, jobs, careers, civil engineering, medicine. And then he found someone who had graduated a year or 2 ago from studying insectology. And they were getting 50,000 kwacha per month studying insectology, after studying insectology. What doctors and lawyers are struggling to make, someone got it when they studied insectology. Can you imagine? It's because wealth comes from God. And those who pursue money rarely get it. Those who end up with billions, you go ask them, were you chasing money? Most of them will tell you, no. I was chasing a passion. I wasn't chasing money. The money just came as a result of what I was doing. So those two things we must avoid if we're to enjoy work. There's two things we need to understand. First, understand God's curse upon our lives and our work. Look at verse 22 and verse 23. Our lives are cursed by God, and our work is cursed by God. I'm sure you've never heard anyone tell you that in a sermon. Your life is cursed by God, and your work is cursed by God. Ecclesiastes 2 verse 22. What has a man from all the toil and striving of heart with which he toils beneath the sun? For all his days are full of sorrow, and his work is a vexation. Even in the night his heart does not rest. This also is vanity. Those who make work their God will never be able to enjoy work. Those who make work their reward will never be able to enjoy work. Those who don't understand that our lives and work has been cursed by God will never enjoy work. You have to start from there. You have to have that understanding that the entire system is broken, and it's because God has broken it. Part of the judgment of God upon mankind for the fall of Adam and Eve, our first parents, was to break, was to fracture our world so that it's cursed, and to structure and fracture our work as well. Life under the sun is just hard. The sooner we accept it, the better. Children will have to bury their parents. Unfortunately, some parents will even have to bury their children. Relationships, marriages, families are broken. And those that have a great relationship, a great marriage, and a great family, there's an end point coming. It can't last forever. At some point, you have to bury your spouse, or your spouse will bury you. It's coming. It's a broken world. We have to battle disease, high costs of living, disappointment, betrayal, insufficient finances and resources. Solomon says man's days are full of sorrow, filled with sorrow. It's interesting what Jacob says to Pharaoh in Genesis chapter 47, verse 7 downwards. Joseph brings his father Jacob into Egypt and introduces him to the man running Egypt, the Pharaoh. And they have a little interaction. These are the words of the great patriarch Jacob, son of Isaac and grandson of Abraham. Can there be a better dynasty? Can there be a better legacy? Can there be a better line from which you can come from? But he did not say that he had an awesome life. Genesis 47 verse 7, then Joseph brought in Jacob his father and stood him before Pharaoh, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Jacob, how many are the days of your life? How old are you? Verse 9, and Jacob said to Pharaoh, the days of the years of my sojourning are 130 years. And listen, few and evil have been the days of the years of my life. And they have not even attained to the days of the years of the life of my fathers in the days of their sojourning. This, by the way, was a man who had gone from great wealth to a famine in which he couldn't even feed his family. He basically lost everything. This was a man who lost his most beloved son when his son was only 17 years old. He says, my life has been hard. few and evil have been the days of my life. Sometimes we admire the people of the Bible. Oh, I wish I could be Jacob. I wish I could be Joseph. We wish we could trade places. Are we sure? Jacob says he had a tough life. His father Isaac died and never got to see his two sons, Jacob and his brother Esau, reconcile. He went to his grave thinking these guys hate each other and they'll never get along. In fact, Jacob ran away from his home and Isaac never saw his son Jacob again. This guy who's saying my life has been evil. Are we sure we want to trade places with these people? Do you want to trade places with Adam and Eve, who lived in paradise and whose firstborn son killed their secondborn son? What would that do to a family? How do you survive something like that? Do you want to trade places with Moses, who led an obstinate people for 40 years through the wilderness and ended up missing on the blessing of entering into the reward of Canaan because they pushed him to his limit? Do you want to trade places with Abraham, who waited 25 years to have a child with Sarah as God promised? I'm sure you don't you admire the wealth of Job, but you don't want to trade places with him. We know what happened to him. How about the great apostle Paul, who wrote half the New Testament? And in his letters to the churches, he's saying, remember my chains. I'm in jail. I'm locked up. And he even says to Timothy, don't be ashamed of me. Does that sound like he was having fun? David's son tried to overthrow him and slept with his wives in full view of the nation to undermine him before all their eyes, and died a miserable death. His other son raped his daughter, his sister. What a mess. These are the lives of our heroes in the scriptures. And Solomon, you just need to read his book and you see that he did not have a great time either. Life is full of sorrow, and that's just how it is. Romans 8 verse 20 says, for the creation was subjected to futility, not willingly. Life isn't broken because it wanted to be broken, but because of him who subjected it. God has broken this world. That's his judgment upon the world. And then it goes on to say in verse 22, the whole creation has been groaning. Even creation gets it and is hoping for more, something better. So life is cursed, work is cursed. Genesis 3 verse 17, Adam is told, because you have listened to the voice of your wife and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground because of you. In pain you shall eat of it all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you, and you shall eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your face you shall eat bread, till you return to the ground. For out of it you are taken. For dust you are nothing, and to dust you return. That's your life, and that's my life. Blood, sweat, and tears. If we're ever going to enjoy work, we need to lose these ideas of heaven on earth. It doesn't exist. Stop looking for heaven on earth. It's not here. And it's foolishness, it's vanity to be chasing after your job, chasing after your money, looking for a swell time here on earth, and being shocked when sorrow upon sorrow hits you. When work is hard and you throw in your energies and your time and little is coming out of it, that's by design. That's God's judgment for the sin of Adam and Eve upon the world. Don't buy into the lies we lie to each other on Facebook and Instagram. That life is swell. That we're posing next to Bugattis and posing next to what and wearing clothes which look like we're just lying to each other. And we know the truth. That the pictures we are painting on social media are not real. We're crying. We're sweating. We're bleeding. And that is why for the believer, we are looking for another city. What a shame for believers who are more serious about building a city here, down here, building a name down here, a world which is passing away and which is broken, than a name up there, than a city up there. We are looking forward to a city whose builder and architect is God, that will not be broken. So where's the enjoyment of work then? Despite all these factors, the curse upon life, the curse upon work, it is still possible to enjoy your work. And you do this by understanding the sovereignty of God over your work. That God is ultimately in charge of your work. Look at verse 24 down to the end of the chapter, verse 26, Ecclesiastes 2. Understanding can enjoy our work by understanding God's sovereignty over our work. Sovereignty just means God is in charge. God holds all the cards. God determines if it goes up and is great or if it goes down and it crumbles. Verse 24, there is nothing better for a person than that he should eat and drink and find enjoyment in his toil. This also I saw is from the hand of God. Did you hear that? Eating, drinking, working, and the enjoyment of those things is from the hand of God. God is in charge of the whole thing. Verse 25, for apart from him, he hits the nail on the head, who can eat? Or who can have enjoyment? For to the one who pleases him, God has given wisdom and knowledge and joy. But to the sinner, he has given the business of gathering and collecting, only to give to one who pleases God. This also is vanity and a striving after the wind. Our work cannot ultimately satisfy us. It's a bad God. Our work cannot ultimately reward us. It's a bad rewarder of our toil. Our work is cursed. We cannot run away from that. But look at how he ends. It's possible to enjoy your work. And it's possible through God. In fact, he says enjoyment comes from God. There's nothing left but to find enjoyment in our work which comes from God. How is this possible? Many people say, no, do what you love. Have you heard that one? Just do what you love and everything will be okay. It's not as easy as it sounds. Most of us do not even know what we like doing at the point we're choosing our careers. We're so young and naive to even make such a determination. Our careers and line of study, most of us don't even have that broad of choices. So few choices. Is that really the solution? Do what you love? That makes it sound like you are sovereign over your work. I get to choose. I get to do whatever I want. It's not true. Most of us hate where we work. Hate our bosses. If we could change it in a second, we would. We're not happy with the structure and the people running the show and all these things. We're not happy with the pay. Do what you love. We're not in charge of that. God is in charge of that. And really, that's the point of this section in Ecclesiastes. God holds all the cards. There are too many variables We don't control anything. But here is the hope for us. We know the one who holds the cards. We know the one who controls all the variables. And it is God. And that is why Solomon says that enjoyment of work comes from God. Verse 25. Apart from him, who can eat or who can have enjoyment? True satisfaction and fulfillment and even enjoyment comes from God. And God is not so weak as to fail to help you and enable you to enjoy your work in a bad job, with bad bosses, with bad pay, with a struggling business. He's strong enough, he's sovereign enough to still help you and enable you enjoy your work in the worst of circumstances. That's the God who is in heaven. He's a sovereign God. And he's able not only to get you into heaven, but to enable you to enjoy life here on earth despite its problems. He's sovereign over it all. We need him even to enjoy our work. He can give us fulfillment and reward. That's what he says, right? At the end there in verse 2. Verse 26, chapter 2. For to the one who pleases him, God has given wisdom and knowledge and joy. God can carry you through your entire career from beginning to end. Give you the wisdom to make the right decisions. Give you the knowledge for you to be competent and be successful in that work, and even allow you to enjoy the work and its reward. He can carry you through all of it, and we can't do any of it ourselves. We don't have that power. We are